I think we're live.
We are alive. Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm still. Okay, we've got a lot of comments in the comment box here, so
Right.
they
Hey, I
all
see
have
somebody
something.
from Wisconsin, Missouri, Canada. That's awesome.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about the 3-minute delay. That's a little technical hitch, probably my fault, but we got here. We got here. So, first of all, we'll just have a little bit of a, a silly chat first whilst we wait for everybody to come on board. We've got nearly 300 people that have registered for this, Karen. So we'll see how many show up, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I can see what it looks like on my other screen, which is even better.
Nice. No, I'm excited. I see a lot of people commenting from where they're commenting from. And yeah, a
Yes.
lot of people talking about the cold that's coming into the US here. Like we're getting some extra special storms and cold.
Oh, Christine's in Adelaide, I'm pretty sure, and 35 degrees up there. Well, it's a very balmy 22 down here at the beach. So I'll just let everybody know that, yes, I'm at the beach. I'm swimming every day, 9 o'clock in the morning here, and it's absolutely wonderful. But I know it's been very, very hot at home on the farm and up in Adelaide or anywhere further north. So we're at the best spot here at the beach, definitely, definitely. Unless it tells me how many are on here yet. I think there is. Doesn't really tell me. I think we'll get started, Karen, and we'll just do a huge big welcome whilst everybody's coming on board. And I'm so pleased, and we can say happy birthday to Machine Quilting Academy. That's the whole reason for this very, very special interview with the lovely Karen Dillman from Wildflower Quilting that's agreed to come on with this interview. And I'm sure you're so excited about that. Now I'm just going to check my notes because I wrote
I
myself a
know
little
I
bit of
am.
a script. Just to say, remind me what I've got to do. Now, now, everybody, can you see that there's this funny little jar on the bottom right side of the screen? Now, the software that I'm using is called B.Live, and they have this wonderful little widget, they call it. And I can put this lottery jar. For every single comment that you make, you get one entry into the lottery jar. And if you're still here at the end of this event, we will be drawing some prize winners. Now, I've got, let me see if I can show it. There you go. I've got the Machine Quilting Academy tote bag, which I do use for my sewing. Let me see, I've got it right here even.
I would use that if I had one. That looks awesome.
So I've got mine that's full of stuff. Here, looks like it's reversed on the screen. And I'll just hide that again. And it is available for sale as well, but I'm giving 2 of those away. But that won't be until the end of the event, so you need to stay. And as I said, every single comment that you make will give you an entry into the jar. So that's just a little bit of fun. Now, Karen, you've got something that you'd like to provide to some lucky winners as well. So you want to explain what that will be?
I do. Absolutely. Thanks. I'm super excited to be here. And we're going to be talking a little bit or maybe a lot about pattern design because that's one of the things that I really love to do. And so I want to give a couple of people the opportunity to choose a digital design or paper pantograph from my website. So a digital pantograph or a paper pantograph. So a couple lucky winners will get one of those from me.
Thank you so much. And that will be great because Karen's designs are amazing. She's very, very experienced. Now, I'm just going to move into a little bit of an introduction. We've had this a little bit of a chat. Karen and I have met before. Karen taught for me at the Machine Quilting Festival here in Australia a few years ago. and I think that was 2016, I reckon. He came out and had very, very full classes with exceptionally happy students, and just loved Karen. It was just so easy to work with, and is so knowledgeable about long arm quilting as well as computerized quilting on any brand. And that's the beauty about all this. Now, obviously, she's a professional machine quilter. I'm reading the bio now. Pattern designer and a teacher, and she's absolutely passionate about helping other quilting machine owners enjoy the process of long arm quilting. So, try to avoid all those frustrations, and she's got so many tips that she can share. So for nearly 2 decades now, she's been connecting with and inspiring quilters, and her education resume includes partnerships with long arm manufacturers like Gamble and APQS, in addition to her years of independent instruction to quilters of all brands and backgrounds. And that's why I figured Karen was the perfect person to have on for our 5th birthday celebrations, because not totally tied to just one system. Everything that Karen does can be relevant to any of us, to anyone that owns a long arm machine or a computer system or a computer system. And of course, we all can see right now how enjoyable it is to be in Karen's presence. So thank you so much for agreeing to this. And
but you're the one that makes this fun. This is awesome. Thank you.
And we do like to have a little bit of fun, and we had a bit of a practice last week, and it was a long practice because I think we just chatted more than anything else.
Yeah, we couldn't stop talking.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun catching up again to see what's been going on in each other's lives as well. So Karen has also been designing and selling digital quilting patterns through her website, wildflowerquilting.com, and we'll have some links for you to share with you as we move through as well. And also, because you registered, or if you registered for this and not just found us on YouTube, which is fine, you'll also get another email in 24 hours just with links for the replay and links to be able to contact Karen at any time if you've got any further questions, or you might be interested further in Karen's other educational opportunities, because she teaches regularly online as well with a partner, and that could be what you need, as well as what Machine Quilting Academy can supply you. And of course, you love doing lots of other things. We don't all just quilt. Some of us might, but not all of us. So Karen also likes to travel, and family, and reading, the ocean. You need to come here to Robe, and horses. That's not my thing, but that's fine. So there is lots of different sides to Karen, and that's what makes her a wonderful person. So thank you so much once again for coming. Now, I came up with a whole list of questions, and then I'm going to let Karen talk about a lot of these things, and you can share your screen if that will help explain. So first of all, we're just going to start off with a little bit about Karen's quilting journey. And can you share how you first became interested in quilting and what led you to specialize in long arm quilting?
Yep, for sure. Like a lot of people, my mother got me started with sewing at a young age. And are you good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm trying to get you as the big part on the screen, and it didn't work.
It's okay.
Darn it.
You can put me in the corner. I'm fine with that.
No, I don't want to put you in the corner. There you go.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, there I am, front and center. All right. Well, thanks. But okay, seriously, first of all, thank you. I'm so glad that I could be here and just chat and talk long arm quilting, because like you said in the intro, seriously, my passion is just helping people love long arm quilting, because my journey was very little of my quilting journey, which I'll explain a little bit here in a second, was very intentional. It was all kind of happen chance and saying yes to opportunities. But I found so much joy in life from quilting. And I just love to share that with people in whatever capacity they choose to have quilting, whether it's a hobby or a business, whether they go computerized or not, whether it's a big part of their life or a small part of their life. I love it when I can help people really enjoy that part of their life. So anyway, like I was saying, personally, my mom got me into sewing young. I kind of resisted the quilting part of things, piecing quilt tops until I was a young mother. And finally, with young children at home, decided I needed something to do to occupy my time a little bit other than just the kids, and got into quilting and loved the piecing part of things. And then ended up with, like a lot of us, with a whole pile of quilt tops that needed to be finished. Tried quilting on my domestic machine, tried, hiring a long armor, tried borrowing and renting machines, and finally settled on the choice. My mother and I actually purchased our first long arm together just to finish our own quilt tops because we had so many quilt tops to work on. But just as soon as that quilting machine entered the family, entered the home, customers came out of the woodwork. People wanted us to do long arming for them, finish quilts. So a big part of my business from the beginning and still currently is quilting for customers. I've worked on all kinds of quilts and different kinds of machines, some computerized, some free motion. I started out free motion quilting. About a year, 2 years after we got our first quilting machine, we had the opportunity to buy at an auction, like a private auction, a computerized quilting machine, a top of the line, the biggest one you can buy kind of thing, where I knew what it was, but I didn't know how to operate it. And we bought it sight unseen and brought it home and learned how to run this computerized system. Our very first one, my first one was a Statler, Gamel Statler. Learned how to use it. This was in 2007. So quickly transitioned from the free motion to using some computerized quilting, and found out at that point that there were very few designers in 2007. And so I've always been kind of artistic, liked to sketch, liked to design. So I learned how to use the software to create a design for my new Statler, the new to me Statler, and just fell in love with the process of creating designs, and never stopped. As soon as I started creating designs, I saw there was a need for different types of designs, for edge to edge, for custom work. Everybody needed something created. So I built my website, which I know nothing about. I'm not a computer person. That's not my niche. Computers aren't I'm not intuitive with computers, but I've learned how to do what I need to do to design. And so I, I built a rough website and started selling my digital designs. I guess long story short, I just kept trying new things in the industry, and pretty soon I was asked to teach some of what I knew, free motion as well as computerized. I didn't want to be a teacher because I didn't think I wanted to talk at people. I didn't want to instruct, but what I didn't realize until I tried it was that it's not about telling people what to do. Teaching and instructing and sharing, educating is about sharing what makes you happy and what works with your system and what works with long arming. And so every new thing I tried, I love doing. So the long arming for customers, I tried it and I love doing it. And then I tried designing patterns and I love doing that. And then I tried educating and I've loved that for over a decade now too. And
And you do it
that's
so
the
well.
long story long. That's the long story long. I just kept saying yes to opportunities, even if I didn't think I could. I just kept trying.
We're getting lots of comments that they love. They can now see the face behind Wildflower quilting, and yeah, everyone has obviously been to your website, so that's great. And now they know what who's behind it all. There was one question from Judy Lyon about whether they'll be able to watch this later again. And I said, absolutely. This is staying on YouTube, on the Machine Quilting Academy YouTube site. And so you can go back and watch it. But you just have to be here live and make comments to be in that jar for the chance to win those giveaway prizes. So
I keep seeing all those letters go into the jar
oh,
too. That's pretty exciting. Lots of comments.
Oh goodness. So we have a first timer here that's with Machine Quilting Academy. That's great. So with your creative process, what does that look like when you're designing a new quilting pattern? Where does it start?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that a lot. I do teach designing. And my process basically is I get inspiration from everywhere, just like a lot of designers. Everything is inspirational. These drapes back here, actually, I'm looking at those thinking, oh, I don't know, there's some chevrons and there's some cool things going on there. That could be a repeatable design. Wallpapers, carpets, architecture. Sometimes it's necessity. Necessity is a great inventor, as we all know. If I have a quilt, a customer quilt that comes in, and it has a particular space that needs to be filled, and it has, the fabrics in there will speak to me. I get the ideas for designs from all over the place. I try not to, I know there are many, many wonderful designers out there. There are a lot of designers now. Not as many, there weren't very many when I got started, but there's a lot now. And I feel like there's room for everybody. Everybody who wants to design digital patterns or paper pantographs is welcome, because there's room for everybody and everybody has their own niche. But I try not to go to other people's websites too much and look around, because I love their work, but I don't want to be inspired by their work. I want to be inspired by everything else that's around. And I take that inspiration and I either sketch it down or I take a photograph and transfer it to my computer. And then I use, most of the time I use a program called Auto Sketch. This is really old school. If any of you out there do any designing, Auto Sketch is really old school. And I do my initial designs in Auto Sketch, and then create those designs and then export them and convert them for all of the digital formats. So any long arm or embroidery machine, I can convert for, but I do my original work in Auto Sketch. But I know a lot. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you convert using Art and Stitch?
I do, actually, yes. I do my conversions in Art and Stitch.
Yeah,
honestly,
I think that's been the main one that can do all of the different types of that you need.
Yes, and actually you can design in Art and Stitch, and I know that it has a very good program. I just haven't taken the time personally to learn the design side of it, because Auto Sketch is so fast for me, and I've already got that one down.
Yeah.
But yeah, Art and Stitch is a good program that I really endorse.
Yep, and for anybody else, I also use Illustrator. You can use Illustrator, a little bit harder to do. But for most of the time, honestly, as people are part of my IQ Summit or the Academy, I do all my designing on the Intelliquilter itself, because we can just move the machine and it records it, and we can clean it all up, etc. in there.
I love that too. Any of those programs that have the record feature, that's amazing. Statler can do that as well. So if you're a Statler person with Creative Studio, you can design in Creative Studio and design well. And if you're a QuiltPath user, they have QuiltPath can design as well. So you don't need a special program, probably. It depends on what system you have, of course, but it really just came down to the Auto Sketch is what I learned first. And so I've just stuck with that, because it's a good, clean process, and it gives you a very nice DXF file that I can get a QLI, a very nice QLI out of Creative Studio, and then convert that in Auto Sketch. Art and Stitch. Too many letters.
There is, I think Art and Stitch is the only one, if you actually wanted to become a professional digitizer, that can convert to all the different formats that we need for all the different brands and types of computer systems and embroidery systems as well. So I don't know of another program that can do all of that.
I don't know of anyone else either. Of course, you can do all of the different programs all individually, but that's a lot of work. So Art and Stitch currently is the only one I'm aware of as well.
Yeah. Okay, so my next question I had, and I think we've probably just covered it. Have you encountered any specific challenges in translating your designs into computerized formats, and how do you overcome them?
Oh yeah, challenges all the time. I mean, one of them is time. Sometimes I just don't even take the time to design, because, we're all so busy, and, there's customer work to do. There's the next education video to get out. And then I don't take the time to do the designing. And I have a monthly pattern club that I have club members that, pay a subscription to receive my newest designs every month. And that has been the best thing for me in my business, to keep me designing consistently, because I know I have this membership that I need to present and provide patterns for. So one of the things that's been difficult is just to carve out the time to design. But if we're talking logistically, another thing, if you're considering starting to design and things like that, or even if you've begun designing, then you'll already know that it's very true that one of the things you have to consider is how to get from point A to point B on repeatable designs without a lot of overstitching. If you can avoid overstitching, because overstitching double tracks the thread lines and doesn't look as clean as avoiding that, of course. So sometimes just figuring out how to turn an idea or a picture or a drawing into a line drawing that starts at one point and moves consistently to the end point without skips, jumps, or overstitching. And that can be a real challenge sometimes, depending on what it is you're trying to create as a design. Another factor you really have to consider is shrinkage. So you need to consider how the design is going to affect the shift and the shrinkage of your quilt as you are stitching the design, because every single design, every single stitch that we put into a quilt changes the shape of that quilt. So shrinkage happens. And as computerized design or computerized quilters, I think there are probably a lot of computerized quilters here listening and chatting with us. As you know, shrinkage and shift on the quilt is one of our biggest challenges, because on the screen, things will be perfect. The design is perfect. The overstitching is perfect. The connections are perfect. The shape is perfect. It ends in the perfect place. But as soon as we start putting stitches on the quilt, we have to factor in that quilt is shifting and probably shrinking in a little bit because of the draw.
So with that, what would be, I find I get a lot of questions where a pattern is supposed to be meeting another part of the pattern to a point, but there's a gap. When you digitize, do you actually digitize a couple of extra stitches so that it would look almost overlapped on the screen, but it'll be perfect on the quilt?
I do sometimes, depending on the design, but this is where it gets into it. It would be really specific to the design and exactly what's coming up to match something else. What I usually try to do is, instead of having things come up to a point and backing out, I usually try to cross lines so that the pattern actually crosses itself instead of comes to a point and goes back out. But each design is so different. But exactly what you're talking about, that where the design comes to meet, it's perfect. Let's talk about cross hatching, right? Cross hatching, meeting cross hatching rows from row to row should be, if it was like the screen, it would be perfect. The points always match. But in reality, as your hopping foot pushes that fabric just a little bit, it pushes a little bubble of fabric up, and then there's that little gap, like you said, between the points. So you have to mitigate that either by the design or by where you place the design when you're working on your computerized system. So just one of the challenges.
I have one tip there that I learned the hard way, and it was with the most beautiful block pattern, and I think I remember the designer's name, but it doesn't matter. And just by rotating it 90 degrees, I had the start and the end meeting on the horizontal instead of the vertical. So when I had it on the vertical, I had a gap. It didn't meet because the quilt had moved. But I changed it to a horizontal line, and I had it very well stabilized, and it did meet beautifully because I float my quilts. I float my quilt tops. So it sucked up a little bit. That's why it didn't work. So that was a trick that I learned with that. And again, it was just with that one particular pattern. So for anybody else, if you're not happy with your stitch out, if that block is totally symmetrical, just try and rotate it 90 degrees and see whether that makes a difference, or move your stop point.
Yeah, that's a great point, because sometimes, you can just move where your start and stop is. If they are designs that come right back to themselves, not repeatable, sometimes you can just move that start stop point. And I did see that somebody in the chat ask the question, which I love to answer, like, how do you compensate for shrinkage in a quilt? It's a big question, right? And so I'll just take a second to
Yeah,
talk just a little bit about it because this is about education, right? And sharing.
it certainly is.
Yeah, so shrinkage is an issue. It's always an issue, especially with computerized quilting, because we're not just making the stitch that we're looking at as we're free motion quilting. So we're putting that stitch right where we want it. But with the computer, we've placed everything on screen, and the computerized system thinks that it's placing everything in the right place, but the quilt is shifting underneath. So just a few things that we can do to compensate for shrinkage. I am a huge advocate. I'm a real believer in not over tightening your quilt fabrics. I do not stretch my quilt backings and my quilt tops. I keep them fairly relaxed on the frame, because I know that sometimes in our minds we feel like if we can stretch it to hold it into this nice tight shape, it's better. But in my experience, couple decades worth of experience, if you stretch that fabric, you're going to have more issues in the end. You're going to have stitch quality issues. Your threads, your stitches just aren't going to look as nice. And when you release that quilt, that fabric's going to go back into its relaxed state. It's going to try to shrink back up on you, and you're going to have more of an issue than you had before. So I like a nice loose fabric tension. Your lower loft battings are going to give you less shrinkage. So the thicker your batting is, or the thicker your fabrics are. So if you're working with fleeces or flannels, you're going to have more shrinkage and shift. If you have a lofty batting like a polyester or something, as opposed to an 80-20 like a blend, you're going to have more shrinkage. Your thread tension as well is going to affect your shrinkage. Tension, of course, is another one of those things that we all deal with, whether we're free motion quilters or computerized quilters. Tension is always an issue. But if you can have a balanced tension where your top thread tension is on the loose side versus the tight side. Now, I'm not telling anybody to change your tension if it's good tension, because I don't want to hear all the complaints if you mess up your tension. But the looser you can have your top tension, the less draw on the quilt you're going to have. So the less shrinkage you're going to have. But again, the important thing is the balance between the top thread and the bottom thread. That's more important than how tight or how loose your actual thread is. So anyway, just a couple of tips. As far as computerized quilting and mitigating for shrinkage, sometimes at some point we just have to get used to knowing that when we stitch a certain edge-to-edge design across a quilt, it will shrink the quilt an inch for every 80 inches we stitch it. So the looser your edge-to-edge pattern is, the less shrinkage you will have. So the more dense patterns you're stitching, the more stitches you're putting on a quilt, the more shrinkage you're going to have. So if you're, for instance, stitching a border and you're doing this computerized, you're going to want to watch that last side, the end of that border, because your quilt has probably shifted and moved, even though the screen, everything is set up on screen perfectly. So the more dense your patterns are, so the more tightly they are stitched, the more shrinkage you're going to have. So pattern choice plays a huge part in shrinkage. Choose designs that don't overstitch. Choose designs that are a little bit more open and flowy if you're concerned about shrinkage. So anyway, just a few tips. Sorry, I can go on forever.
Oh, I know. You and me both on that one. It's a never-ending topic, I think. And we just honestly just have to recognize it and adjust for it, because it's a fact. It's never going to go away.
Yeah.
Next question I had, staying innovative. How do you draw inspiration for your pattern designs, and how do you keep your ideas fresh and unique? I know you said you're looking at nature, you're looking at architecture, etc. And sometimes I think, there's so much out there and so many designers now. How do you stay fresh?
That's a good question. I hope I do this all right. I don't know, because I do what I do and I just do it. So I might not be the best at being innovative, to be honest with you, but I do try to challenge myself just by giving myself categories. Like every month I want to design something that's more modern. I'm not an early adopter, so I'm maybe not on the forefront of all of the trends, but I do try to watch the trends. I try to watch what, fabrics are popular, what colors are popular, what type of dresses the girls are wearing in church. Literally, that's what I was looking at today, because I'm like, okay, you know what? Florals are coming back in. And maybe that's in my area, but maybe I can use that as a broader, a broader idea of a trend. But I like to challenge myself. I didn't like feathers when I started designing, and I didn't like modern designs. Now I love both of those because I challenged myself to try to design in those two areas. Now I love feathers, and everybody loves feathers, right?
Oh yeah,
Um,
I still love doing them freehand. So
oh yeah.
I rarely use my computer unless it's a block pattern. But yeah, I still do all my borders, feather borders are freehand still. And then it's just me. Okay, we're moving on to your role as a teacher. So how has your experience as a teacher influenced the way you design patterns or approach quilting projects?
So as a teacher, like, I guess that's another way that I've come up with some new ideas for designs, is just, as I was teaching classes, um, let's say I was teaching just a class on border corner, and I would play around with some border corners, and I realized there was a real need, at least in my market, for border corner patterns that worked really well with the software I was using. And so just being in all the different, I feel like being in so many of the different facets of the quilting industry, I kind of can pull all of the tips and the information that I've gained from each of those areas to make things better in the other areas. So as a designer, I'm able to help people, when I educate, understand maybe why one pattern works one way, or why one pattern might be better for a particular type of quilt or a particular area. And the opposite is true, like I mentioned. Sometimes because I've tried to educate people, because I've tried to share what I know, and I've sought to learn more so I can share more. Sometimes that helps me understand, oh, a pattern should work in a different way, or there's a need for a different style of pattern.
I think with the next question I had, we've probably almost covered, unless someone else wants to come up with a different one besides the shrinkage factor, is common frustrations. What are the ones that you see among quilters using computerized systems, and how do you advise them to work through these issues? So let's remove the shrinkage factor frustration, because I still think that is the absolute biggest one. Next one may be tension. And that's a long arm issue, or a domestic machine issue for that matter, is understanding how to balance our tensions. So what do you see as a teacher that you hear from your students the most on their most common frustrations?
Well, to be honest, when I was thinking about this question, I hear so very often that people don't understand how to use their systems. So it's the education component of it. That's what I hear, is that people don't know where to get education. They don't know how to learn how to use their systems. A lot of us, if we have computerized systems, sometimes they can do more than we know that they can do. We don't know what we don't know. And so one of the common frustrations that I hear is that people don't know where to go to learn more about their systems. And that's what you, like with your Machine Quilting Academy, that's the perfect place to go for education about quilting in general, and about the systems. Having peers and peer groups that you can talk to about things, and sometimes the Facebook groups can answer great questions. But that's the biggest thing I've seen, is people just want to know where they can go for education.
Excellent. So yes, mine Quilting Academy is definitely more focused on Intelliquilter, but almost, I know there's an awful lot of courses inside there too that are relevant for any computer system. Now, Karen, do you want to just, maybe this is a good time now when we're talking about education, introduce what you do for Statler owners.
Right. Yeah, I do something that's very similar to your Machine Quilting Academy, and ironically has a very similar name. I think we kind of I think we grew our businesses separately, independently at the same time, kind of in different hemispheres is what happened. Georgia Stoll and I have been longtime friends and longtime Gamel Statler educators. And when we saw a need for Statler education, really in-depth, let's learn how to use Creative Studio education, we formed what we call Karen and George's Academy. And so we run this academy as a Facebook group with videos, weekly videos, videos online, Vimeo, a Vimeo showcase you can purchase. And we do have a Facebook where you can post and Q&A and things like that. And we've been doing this now we just started our 7th year. So we find a lot of joy helping people with their questions in Creative Studio. Now it's very Creative Studio geared, but it's all long arm education as well. So there's general topics as well, but it is so much fun to be able to, go on the group and somebody has a question about how do you line up cross hatching in, computerized system. And so Georgia and I will create a video and answer the question through video. And it's so satisfying to be able to answer their questions in real time and be able to help people really love their machines, really utilize their machines, and just enjoy the process of quilting, like I said. So that's Karen and George's Academy. And that information, if anybody, I don't know if anybody here listening is a Statler owner, but that information is on my website on wildflowerquilting.com under the Academy. And like I said, we've been doing that for a good long time.
Okay, anyone, give us a shout out if you're a Statler owner. I'm not sure if we've got. I've been promoting this everywhere, so certainly hope that we ended up with some. Oh, we're not getting any comments.
I bet some Statler owner. I think they'll find it.
Yeah, they'll find it. They'll find it. Definitely.
Well, and that's the thing is like, I mean, my first machine was a Gamel, but I've used basically all of the machines as I've taught. I've got an APQS right here behind me. You can see. There are some features I love about some machines, but I have no prejudice against machines. I love all of the systems. I believe that everybody that finds a machine that works for them has the right machine. I hope that makes sense. And I feel like you are the same way. I know that you love the IQ, and that's a fantastic program. I love that. In fact, I wish I knew more, and that's one of my goals is to learn more about it.
We'll get an IQ on that APQS for you.
There you go. So I love that the quilting community can be a community, even if we have different types of machines and systems. There is so much that we can learn from each other that goes across the board. So love it. Oh, hey, there's Kathy's got an IQ on an APQS.
Yeah, she does. She does. In fact, my first Intelliquilter, well, actually the first Intelliquilter in the world off the production line, not the demo ones, was on my APQS Millennium. So there you go.
That's cool.
It was the first APQS that had an IQ. So it took us about 3 days to get everything to work because I didn't know how to plug the plugs in.
Well, now lots of people have IQs on the Millies, on the APQS. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You were the pioneer.
We've got Avante with Pro Stitcher. Yeah, I think the bulk was possibly IQ. Obviously, that's my market. And on my list, oh, look at this. We've got a Regalia Baby Lock. Now, we don't have these here in Australia, so that I'm aware of. Certainly not. Have you got a computer system, Donna, on your Baby Lock? Wait for an answer.
I saw somebody in there that said they were shopping. So, hey, yay for you. Excited.
Yeah,
I remember
Jenny's
that.
got a Gamel with IQ. And honestly, if we want to get onto that topic, which long arm do I buy? And it's, to me, I always say, well, when you go car shopping, why do you choose the car that you've chosen? Is it because your bottom fits nicer in the seat than on another brand? And that's a bit like a long arm. Which one feels the most comfortable? And what are the features that are your priority? So for some, it could be ergonomics. For others, it could be how easy it moves. For I knew one that was very specific. I had one of my customers is the ability, she couldn't stand and quilt, so she needed to sit and quilt, but wanted to be able to move the long arm easily. That was for medical reasons. Some, it's all about the servicing and how easy or difficult it is to service yourself, or how close a dealer is or a service person is to in your location. It totally depends on your individual needs on what's going to be the right one for you. For some, it is about the money because we can't all afford it. And for others, it's about the size because we simply don't have a room big enough to put it in.
Yep.
Yep.
8-foot table right there. I had to get an 8-foot table.
Yep. So everybody's unique, and that means there is no one machine, brand, or model that is perfect for everybody. So there's no judgment here whatsoever. You get what works for you, and you learn it inside out. You find your tribe that you can communicate with and to get help from, and that way you can master the software and the machine that you own. And if if something's not quite right with it, please go back to your dealer. Please make sure that it's set up correctly, because they all state, and they can be beautiful machines. It can just simply be the way it's been set up. So don't just put up with something because if you know it doesn't feel quite right, then you work it out, because it definitely should.
And
No
I'll
company.
I'll second that idea. I know that I've worked with a lot of brand new machine owners, a lot of different brands, and the initial frustrations are usually easy to overcome. So usually it's a very small issue that some education or just a change in the setup, like you mentioned, can overcome. So
Mhm,
I know that that can be a frustration for newbies. Just if it's not working exactly right, it's
mhm.
don't panic, because I know they're big machines and that it's a lot of money, but there's almost nothing that can't be fixed.
That's pretty spot on. Definitely. And the better you know your machine, the easier it is to get it working as you want it to. So to just never ever be frightened, to just turn it on and play. Same with your computer systems. You're not going to know every nuance of your system when you first get it. So just slowly work your way through. Or, like I did, you had a quilt in front of you and you think, well, if I didn't have a computer, what is it that I wanted to quilt on here? And now, how can I make the computer do it instead of me? And that's where you start looking at the software to work out how you can achieve your end result. I actually knew the end result that I wanted, and then made the computer do what I wanted it to do.
Mhm.
So for that one. Okay, so my next question on our list is using computerized systems. What's your favorite tools, or what features or tools on the computerized quilting system do you find the most valuable, and why?
That's a good question. Good question. A lot of these computerized systems are incredibly feature rich. They can do so many amazing things. Um, I'm going to say initially, I liked my first computerized system, and I still do, because I can run pantographs. I love the edge to edge, just the ability to run an edge to edge on the computerized quilting machine to make money. I'm just gonna put it right out there, because edge to edge is my bread and butter for my business. I can let the computer take care of it. I still get to do all of the design decisions. I get to choose the pattern, what size it is, make sure it's gonna fit the space and everything. So it's not like just pushing a button. There's still care and emotion and design in this quilt, but I can set it and get it going, and then I can free motion the custom quilt on the other machine, or I can prepare the next quilt. So I love that a computerized system gives me the opportunity to do a faster and usually a little less wear on my body job of making some money. So that was one of the things. But another thing, when we're talking more custom quilting, I absolutely love any of the features that will give me the opportunity to have a visual on the screen. So like in Creative Studio, we have boundaries where we can draw a boundary on the quilt to give myself a visual reference on the screen of an area of the quilt. And that's so important because I want to make sure that patterns are fitting exactly in the right space, or that the patterns are meeting up and things like that. So I love anything that'll give me a visual reference, like that boundary tool, or being able to see where my needle is. So if you have a crosshair on your screen that shows you where the needle is on the quilt, shows you on the screen, I love that. I know those are little things, and there are so many other kinds of tools. The record, we talked about the record feature before. If your system has the option to record your free motion quilting, that's incredible, especially as a designer, because so few people know about that feature, but it can make you an instant designer. So you can record what you're doing, and then you can adapt it a little, or change it a little bit. And that's probably my last favorite feature in all of these favorite features, is the design capabilities in the software. If you can manipulate a pattern just node by node, so manipulate just one tiny part of a pattern, that's amazing. You can make it fit exactly, or change the shape, or like you talked about earlier, change where the start and end is on a design. That is amazing because it can make your outlook, your finish more professional.
And it can be more you. I find if you can, when you're looking at quilting quilt shows, for example, I can pick which has been computerized and which hasn't. And those that absolutely adjust, even if it's a computerized block pattern, but if somebody hasn't adjusted it to fit that 11 3/4 inch by 12 1/4 inch square that was supposed to be 12 inches square, then they haven't actually fully utilized their system correctly. Like, so in IQ, yes, you can change the size, but we've also got this distort feature, which is amazing. It's a bit, I'm not sure whether it'd be equivalent in Creative Studio, but yes, there's nodes, and you can stretch out one corner, or you can just change a side, or and there's shapeshift as well, which is where anything inside of a circle, you drag the entire design that's just in that circle, and you can move it and adjust it just slightly. And there's so many. If you do that on a quilt as a custom quilter, it's very, very difficult to say whether, oh, that's a computerized quilt, because every single block pattern is exactly the same. But you've adjusted it so it will fit. Setting triangles is the perfect example, because a lot of setting triangles get stretched when they're pieced, and to get that triangle pattern to fit nicely with the same gap all the way around, that's where if you're able to adjust it using the features on your system, is where you can see that, well, that's a good computerized quilting operator for sure. Okay.
Cool. I love that people are putting their favorite features in the comments. I love it. And I'm learning the terminology for some of the other systems, and I love it so much. Somebody asked which of the systems have record, and I know that the Statler Creative Studio has record. You said that IQ has record.
Yep. I think does Pro Stitcher have record? I know there's a couple of Pro Stitches in here.
Quilt has record, I know.
Yep. Yeah. I know one thing that's the same between us, but with different names, is Statler has point to point, and we call it line pattern.
Right.
So that's one thing that's exactly the same that we did.
I'm pretty excited to check out IQ and get more familiar with it.
I think you'd love it as well, and I think it would make it, again, it's just the little nuances between the two. I think you realize that they're very, very, we can achieve the same things, but it just might be a slightly different terminology.
Exactly. And I used to use it more, like a little bit, just at shows and with friends and things. But, the last few years I've been so busy, I just haven't taken the time. But I'm ready to give myself something to learn again. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I did briefly mention this, but the learning curve. Do you have any tips for the quilters who are new to computerized systems and might feel overwhelmed? Where should they start?
Good question. I think that you should start when you're getting into computerized quilting, especially if you already feel overwhelmed. Um, Start with edge to edge, of course. That's our bread and butter. If your reason for getting into computerized quilting is because you want it to do custom quilting and you want it to do it faster and easier than free motion, you're probably not going to find that because custom quilting is actually there's a lot that goes into custom quilting with a computerized system that a free motion quilter just makes happen. Like we just talked about, fitting things into spaces and making sure that patterns that are perfectly designed fit into imperfect piecing. Um, anyway, so I guess my advice would be for sure. We've already talked about finding your tribe, finding a mentor, finding some help. If you don't already have new owner training materials through whatever system that you've purchased, find a group that provides that, or find somebody that you can ask questions to, because I really believe that the one-on-one training as you're getting started is what most people need, because everybody needs something different. Everybody has different roadblocks. So by and large, we want, if you're getting a computerized system, the new owners, we start with, this is how you set up and quilt an edge to edge, and this is how you deal with the issues that might come up during an edge to edge, like a thread break or patterns not lining up. And then we advance to things like placing a block and doing border corners and things like that. So there's, as an educator, we kind of have this list, this system, well, we think you should learn this and then this and then this and then this, but that's not really how most people are. Usually you have very specific questions about something. And so being able to find a source of one-on-one training, do a consultation with an educator, find a friend that has the same system that you can ask questions to, go to the Facebook groups. That's really what I suggest. Have some place or someone that you can ask specific questions. And maybe that's speaking more to my learning style, because I learn better if I just deal with one problem as I come to it. But that's kind of my advice, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess that's really why I started Machine Quilting Academy, because I've always done this face to face. And back in 2020, of course, COVID hit, and I had sold my Machine Quilting Festival, not knowing whether it was going to be, well, I'd verbally sold it, but I'd said I wasn't doing it again at the time. I hadn't actually settled. And I thought, well, yeah, what's going to happen? So I created, that's how all this started for me. And instead of individually talking to people when customers are calling me, and sometimes that would be very long phone calls and it's taking time out of my customer quilting as well, that it was easier to talk as a group and to get everybody's input and for everybody to help each other when you've got your own tribe. So that's why, yeah. And now with that in mind, of course, I'm going to do some promotion for Machine Quilting Academy. And for anybody here, let me see, we'll put this one up. There we go. And it should hit, supposedly it's supposed to hit the link in the chat as well, I hope. Does it do that? Let's do this.
I see it.
Ah, good. Okay, so that actually gives you a 10% discount if you wanted to join the gold membership group. Now, I have different levels. There's so many courses in there now. There's over 100 hours of training, and not just for Intelliquilter, but it is majority Intelliquilter. But the gold members area gives you everything: the freehand, the business support, the resources for businesses, and our monthly Q&A chats as well. So that is where the tribe is, and not every member in there even owns a computer system. And some of them don't even own a long arm. They own, or a sit down long arm, but they don't do it as a business, but they're still learning things about their machines and also about other areas of quilting and things to make. Now, of course, if you're not into that, then it's just only want Intelliquilter education, then we have Intelliquilter IQ Summit. And that is all purely, pretty much purely computerized quilting. Probably 40% of those courses totally relevant to any computer system. Like we've done applique using a computer system. We've done couching. We've done making smaller items, Santa sacks and stockings, and even a bodice insert for my daughter's dress for modesty purposes because she bought this dress and was so disappointed that it actually revealed way too much. So I used the Intelliquilter to come up with a design on some see-through fabric that we could insert into that dress to
Very
make a
cool.
bodice. And so yeah, there's that one. Then for freehand people, I've also got, this is totally all drawing and freehand for domestic or long arm quilters, and it is all about Gridwork, and there's 65 plus designs in there. And this used to be a closed type of class, but now I've turned it evergreen, so people can join at any time and go through 14 weeks of designs, and you'll be drawing with me. And it's all about how to build those designs. It's basically line patterns, but it's all freehand. So there's lots and lots of ideas in that one, and encouragement. So all of those are possible. And lastly, for those that are in almost always in business, then I've just released, and we're starting this journey, is a series of action cards. So over a quarter, we get, you download your action cards and you download a journal. And once a week, I'll remind you, let's pull an action card, and it should only be a quick action, 5-10 minutes tops. And sometimes it's about appreciating your customers. Sometimes it's about revisiting a design that you needed to perfect. Sometimes it's about learning a bit better posture, or cleaning up your studio. But they're all quilting related, and it just gets you into that habit of looking after your business and looking after yourself, and journaling about it, on how it makes you feel and how that will impact your week moving forward. So again, all of these are 10% off, and just for those that are here, and you can join with any of those. Now with Karen's, obviously you can go to Karen's website, wildflowerquilting.com, and look for, take that off, and look for your academy, and have a good look and see whether that is going to be more to your liking, or it's going to suit what you have. So that's just some offerings that we can both provide you to get that support that you might need in your journey of long arm machine quilting, especially with a computer system. So have you got anything to add on that one? There is one question that we need to, that we haven't answered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to pick? You want to grab those?
I don't have a chat option. I can't add a chat. I was just going to put my
website. It should be at the bottom of the chat. You've got all type something.
Yeah. Nope. Really? I've been denied. It's all good, but I'll answer questions. I saw one earlier. It was higher in the feed asking about long arm expos in the US. And I think the question was, are there any like machine quilting shows still in the US? And honestly, I can't think of any that are machine quilting specific. We still have, of course, a lot of quilt shows that have long arm classes. Paducah, Houston, we've got quilting expos, several that I'm going to this year, not as an educator, but as an education manager for APQS. But a lot of our long arm specific shows are gone. So that answers that question. But again, the classes have popped up either in the quilt shows, the big quilt shows, or a lot of the brands have taken on, or independent companies like Wildflower Quilting and Karen and George's Academy have taken on that opportunity to have summits or education events, or in-person education events. Because I love the in-person stuff. During COVID, we were in a great position. We already had Karen and George's Academy on Facebook, the online stuff. We were in a great position to continue educating and sharing and networking with people. But we all missed the in-person events. So a lot of us are still hosting those types of things.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I started. I got invited to teach at MQX in 2005. And I was teaching rulers because I produce rulers as well.
Yeah.
Have been since 2000 producing long arm rulers here in Australia. And yeah, that's how I started. So I've been, traveled in 05, 06, 09, 11, 13. I was back in America in 2018, but I wasn't teaching that time. But yeah, all those years at all the different shows, I love them all, and it's just so. And that's how Australian Machine Quilting Festival came about
Mhm.
as well, to a degree, because I'd taught in all of those. But we used to have similar conferences over here run by Kay and Bruce Brown, and they retired, and then we had nothing until I think their last one was 2005, and until we did festival in 2010 for the first time, we didn't have the ability to all join together and network and learn all in one place, specifically about, with long arms or machine quilting. So it is sad that we don't have that face-to-face, though we still do have Machine Quilting Festival, and our next one is coming up at the end of March. I no longer run it, so don't come to me and ask questions. But it is still going, and to continue it, it still needs to be supported, obviously, because it is very important to. I still think face to face is great, but if we can't do it, honestly, online face to face like this is great. If you can take live classes like I run every month and Georgia runs every week, with your videos and classes, then that's the best thing. So you're getting that interaction with each other with so many experienced quilters to answer your questions. Okay, before we draw some winners, now by the way, did you notice I just put Karen's direct link up in the chat to her academy? So that is now showing in the chat if you wanted to grab that link to get to the academy. One more question, or the closing, before we draw our winners. Words of wisdom. If you could give one piece of advice to someone aspiring to become a pattern designer or master computerized quilting, what would it be?
Good question. So my best piece of advice is to be, how do I say this? Don't be too hard on yourself. I think that we are all perfectionists. Most of us are perfectionists, and we feel like if we can't do something at the absolute top level, we're not even going to get started. And this kind of goes back to one of to some of the other questions that you presented about, how to get started in quilting and things like that. So whether it's long arm quilting, computerized quilting, or designing, I would just encourage everybody to realize and embrace the idea that you are good enough, that the work that you do now is good, and just keep practicing. Okay, don't get frustrated that yours isn't the same level as Karen McTavish or something else, right? Just be good to yourself and keep practicing.
Yeah.
So that's my best advice, is to not let yourself get discouraged from that.
And don't forget those quilters that we all absolutely love and admire, they have been doing this for many, many years. If I could get back some of those first quilts that I did in the first 3 years, I would so love to remove that stitching and do it again. But you know what? Be happy with how you start and build. Get good at even if it's just stippling. Get good at stippling a whole quilt, and then you learn the next thing, the next skill, and be confident in what you are offering. So that would be the only addition. I did have a question. Do you prefer zippers or pins? My answer is I actually pin to my zippers. But on my panto only machine, I use red snappers. What do you prefer,
And
Karen?
I have been stapling quilts for over 10 years. and I am about to switch over. I've been testing some magnet loading methods, and I'm about to switch everything over to magnets. It is fast and easy and clean. It's as fast and easy as stapling and cleaner than stapling. And I know stapling isn't for everybody, and I know magnets aren't going to be for everybody, but I love it. I love it.
Well, there you go. We all have choices.
So
So
if
that is,
anybody's like, I see a question, sorry, in the comments. What's stapling? There's a video on my website. You can see how I staple quilts. But again, I'm moving on from that, but it's still a good method.
yeah,
There
yeah.
will soon be a video about magnets on the website.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get first name drawn. I hope everyone's still here. We still have 74 here for a tote bag. Okay, what's it do? Does it show me? I can't read it. Okay, where's it say?
I see a name, Cheryl Bowman.
Oh, good. Cheryl, too small on my screen. I'm just going to have to go and change something to here so I can. No, I still can't see it. Okay, Cheryl, can you see your name on there? To answer, please comment in the chat. Are you still with us?
All right, let's see. Sunflower Stitcheries?
No. She's just calling for Cheryl. Let's close that off. I can get that out. Cheryl Bauman. Okay, I wonder if I can find her. Cheryl, are you there? Cheryl Bauman. I'm going into my other file.
I see some other people putting the name in. I don't see Cheryl commenting yet, but.
Oh, Cheryl, no, bad luck, because I did say you have to stay here. Okay, let's try another one. Cynthia Allen. Cynthia, are you still here? Oh, this is going to be hard. Maybe if they've actually registered, I can find their details.
Cynthia just answered.
Excellent. Yes, you're here. Cynthia, you have won an MQA tote bag. If you can email me, tracy@machinequiltingacademy.com, and I'll put my email in here, to give me your postal address, because this is a physical item. Yep. Email me for your postal address so that I can send it to you, then that would be great. Okay, let me go to another one. Now, Nancy Blaisdell, are you still here?
Just to convolute things, I see that Cheryl Bowman has answered now that she was here.
Oh no, Cheryl. You're here. Oh goodness, look, all three. All right, I'll give three away. So Cheryl, Cynthia, and Nancy, please email me your postal addresses so that I can send you an MQA tote bag. Okay.
That is so nice of you. Okay, I'll do 3 patterns too.
You'll do 3 patterns? Okay,
yeah.
Let's see. Get a winner. And we have Nancy Mitchell or Michelle. Nancy?
And I'll just need an email so with that I can chat with you about what design you want.
Nancy. Nancy Michelle. Nancy, are you there? Okay, well,
Oh,
let's
yay,
draw.
she's there.
Yay! Okay, Nancy, we'll need to get your email to Karen, and then you can work together to choose your design, whether it be a paper one or a digital one.
And
And
my email, I'm just going to say it out loud. I don't know if you want to post it, but my email
yep.
is wildflower.quilting@yahoo.com.
Quilting.
You can also reach me through the website. There's a contact us page and things.
Okay, I just popped it in to the chat as well.
All right, Nancy,
Okay,
I've got your name down.
excellent.
Let's do two more.
Let's get the next winner, Kathy B. Is Kathy B here? So Nancy's here, Kathy B. And the last one would be, well, let me get another winner. Come on, let me do another winner. Don't we love technology? It's great when it works.
Oh, Kathy answered. That's great.
Excellent.
Send me an email.
Kathy B. Okay, so now I need to just refresh. I'm just going to reset this jar. It's not letting me fill another name in there. So let's just reset it and get a winner. Oh no, did it reset to nothing? Bother.
Oh no.
Oh, look at that.
Oh no.
Oh no. It looks like you're only giving 2 patterns away now.
I guess so. Okay, how about anybody who signs up for my newsletter this week? I'll draw another name from everybody that signs up for my newsletter.
Perfect
Just go to
answer.
wildflowerquilting.com. At the bottom of the main page, you can sign up for the newsletter. And if you already get my newsletter, just send me an email and I'll throw everybody in a drawing.
There you go. Now, that's very generous. Thank you so much, Karen, for doing that as well. I'll wait for the emails from my 3 to get their postal addresses. Now, I'll just warn you, I'm at the beach. And I really should show you. This is my view. Let me see. This is the beach that I swim at nearly every day. Will it show
That
up
is
on the
amazing.
screen? Get that better. Oh, for goodness sake, this system is, I can't get it so I want it to go big. There we go. So there's the beach. That was actually last night. So it was overcast and getting darker, but that blue is normally the most aqua blue you've ever seen. So I'm at the beach and I won't be able to send these bags out until I get home. So that won't be till after the 2nd of February. But I will have that ready to go out, no matter where you may be, for when I get home again. And I do hope that you have enjoyed this special presentation with the most amazing Karen Dillman from Wildflower Quilting. Please go to Karen's website, have a good look around. She's got some fantastic designs, plus her academy as well, which is all about long arm quilting, but probably a little bit more about Statler Stitcher and Creative Studio. So if that is your jam, and Statler is an amazing system, can do anything, just like Intelliquilter can, of course, but I'm biased. But Statler's was the first one ever, the first computerized system out there, and they have continued to improve and add and upgrade just like most systems do. It's just that they were the first, so they've had the longest at it and probably the most feedback too. So yeah, have a good look. And I do oh yes, it is a tough job, Deborah, but I definitely have to enjoy the beach every year when I get here for 3 weeks. This is my reset time. Thanks once again, and I think we'll close it off for now. And if you want to share this with any of your other friends, once this is all converted, I'm not sure how long it takes on YouTube, but it will stay on YouTube that people can go and rewatch it at any time, or you can share it for others to go and watch it at their leisure moving forward. So you'll always find that on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. I don't do it that often, but if you subscribe, at least you will see what I do get up on YouTube. Every so often I get something new up there, but it's a tough thing to juggle everything as a solo operator. Just like I know, Karen, you said everything gets busy and it makes it tough. But we try our best. We want to service you first, so that's usually why the tech side of it gets left behind. All right, I think I just have to press this button and we can stop
Thank you,
streaming.
everybody.
Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and we'll catch up with you next month for me in the Academy. Bye for now.